Morning. Today, it's going to be my little brother's birthday tomorrow. Well, little, he's in his 50s, so, you know. But I like to make him something that maybe Mom would have made for him, or because Mom was a lovely baker. She could make anything and bake and cook. She was awesome. So I'm going to make some cinnamon rolls today. And I just want you to see how simple it is to actually create a whole dozen or two of cinnamon buns in not much time, and you have something that you have made and it's delicious and people appreciate it. Plus, it doesn't cost you a lot of money. So here I've got my yeast dough. So it's a sweet dough, it's called. And you mix that up and you let it rise, one rise, and then you just portion it out how you want. Now I've actually made 2 times the recipe, but I'm sharing with the shop members out there. Tim and my brothers have a logging company, so they have workers out in the shop, and it's always nice to share with people. So I have made, like I say, 2 times the recipe, so that will actually make 4 dozen cinnamon buns. Or if you cut them smaller, it'll make more, obviously. So, and that's using about 5 to 6 cups of flour for 1 times the recipe. So for that much flour, you would get 24 cinnamon buns. Okay? So you just roll it out into a rectangle and then spread with butter. You like to have, you know, enough to cover. You don't have to have tons, because I'm putting cream cheese frosting on them, so, you know, that's a little more sweet there. And then I put about, that much. So we'll say 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. And if that's not enough, then you add a little bit more. And you just spread it out with your fingers, not quite to the full edge, because you're going to have to roll it up and pinch those together. So once that's done, and I think that's a sufficient amount of brown sugar, looks good to me, and then sprinkle with your cinnamon. Now, they're called cinnamon buns, so we like to put, you know, enough cinnamon on there to taste them, but not too much that it's overpowering. So you just sprinkle it on till it's all covered. Doesn't have to be, it's not an exact science, obviously. When I'm baking, it doesn't really, unless it has to be an exact science, but there, that looks lovely. So now just carefully lift up the edges, and you want to roll it, you know, fairly tight. So you just kind of pull back on that a little bit and keep rolling. It'll stick together eventually. Don't get, you know, concerned if it's not, well, it's not going to be perfect, but they're going to taste delicious, so who cares? So just pull it back a little bit as you roll. Kind of tightens the roll a little bit, but you don't want to tighten it too much or the tops will pop out, which that's been happening. It's happened to me too, and it doesn't affect the taste at all, so not to worry there. All right, then you just pinch these edges together. Make sure they're well pinched so they don't pop out or the roll doesn't come undone. And that's that. Now, I like to cut mine so they're pretty even. So cut the roll in half. Then I'm making, oh, maybe I'll make 16 out of this one. make them a little smaller. So we're going to cut these each into 4 pieces. I like to use a serrated knife. It just cuts it a little bit nicer. And I've got my pan ready to go here. When I'm giving them away, obviously, I use a foil pan. Spray it with Pam or whatever, some kind of a spray. And then just stick them in. Let me see, let's, maybe I'll move these things here so you can actually see what I'm doing. We'll put that there. So, you want to just put them in the pan, and a shop I worked at, the Harvest Cafe downtown in Chilliwack, Ron taught me quite a few things about, you know, little tips that he'd learned, because I've never gone to baking school. I've been baking since I was 9, or probably even before that, but my dad said I made my first loaf of bread when I was 9, so I don't know, I don't remember. Anyways, Ron taught me that you want, when you're putting your cinnamon buns in the pan, make sure that the edges where you've got this seal is not facing outward. Like, you want it to face inward so that they won't come apart, I think is what that reasoning is. So we're just sticking these all in here like that. Like I said, doesn't have to be perfect. So there, I've got smaller ones there, but that's all right. They're going to rise up and become delicious little morsels. And then I like to cover them with some plastic wrap, or you can just cover them with a damp tea towel too. And then you just sit them somewhere where it's warm, like not out of a draft. This is the end of my saran wrap, so I'm using every portion that I can. So just cover them over a little bit. And let them rise. So they'll probably rise for, half an hour or so, I would say, or maybe a little bit longer. And then I bake them in a 350 oven for about 20 minutes. 18 to 20, check. You don't want them overdone. And also, when I'm using these foil pans, I stick them on a cookie tray or something to give them a little bit more stability. So, all right, we're gonna pause there, and when I'm ready to get them out of the oven and iced, I'll come back and we'll check in, okay? Thank you.